Welcome everyone. Healing Connection, support, educate, advocate, a supporting light for better mental health. So my name is Alice. Today I'm going to present a topic on normal and abnormal understanding of emotional styles. So what is emotionally normal? So today I'm talking about the normal and abnormal understanding of emotional styles. We could ask ourselves, what is emotionally normal? Variations of emotional styles serve our society well by equipping different people with different complementary strengths. For instance, if you like iPads, cell phones, online banking, and Facebook, then you should be glad that there are people who prefer to interact more with machines than with other individuals. Other people likely fall towards the puzzled end of the social intuition spectrum. So when we talk about the social intuition, if we remember, those who are here for the last presentation, social intuition is how adept or skilled or proficient one is at picking up signals from the people around you. And so we also look at the emotional styles and how it shapes, how emotional style shapes how vulnerable someone will be to mental health. Although emotional style cannot cause mental illness in and of itself, it does interact with other factors to determine whether or not a person may acquire the mental health. For instance, in mood disorders such as depression, people are unable to maintain positive feelings such as happiness or even interest. When we look at generalized anxiety disorder and social anxiety disorder, they have a hard time turning off negative emotions once it is turned on. Our next slide talks about psychiatry based on neuroscience. So identifying the different aspects of specific disorders will also help to determine the underlying brain systems that contribute to each disorder and suggest novel treatment options based on changing the emotional style at its core. So currently, clinicians evaluate a patient's symptoms, and if enough of them match those that characterize, say, social phobia, obsessive compulsive disorder, or bipolar illness, that person will be diagnosed with that disorder. I believe most of us have come across such an experience. If any of us doesn't mind sharing, where you go to see a clinician or a doctor and you tell them the symptoms that you're undergoing, they ask you, oh, what are you undergoing? And then maybe you say, I have fever, I have headache. Like it happened during the COVID time. Like the moment you just go and say, oh, I feel feverish and then I have a sour throat, they would immediately conclude that you have COVID, whereas that would not be the case. If any of us has an experience, does any of us have such an experience maybe, and you don't mind sharing, where you are diagnosed with a different disorder as opposed to another one?
That's a great question, Alice. Alice, by the way, the slides are just stuck on one that's not the same as what you're presenting.
Is it moving?
Yeah.
Okay, psychiatry based on, so we're talking about if any of you had ever had such an experience where you are diagnosed with a different disorder as opposed to what you really had. So they say the problem with the yes or no, they call it the yes or no method, is that it ignores the fact that people differ and that the you have this tipping point is arbitrary based on random choice or personal whim. Is it moving?
No, I don't see
normal
it.
And abnormal as it applies to.
Right, it is that one, but earlier it was on this one already.
No, I hadn't presented this one. So normal and abnormal as it applies to 3 dimensions of emotional styles. So we look at the social intuition. As I say, the social intuition is how one's skills or proficiency at picking up signals from people around them. So it plays a key role in autism. Then outlook as one of the 6 dimensions of emotional styles is how long you are able to sustain positive emotions. So they say outlook affects the risk of depression. And attention as one of the 6 dimensions of emotional styles is how sharp and clear your focus is. So they say attention accounts for ADHD. So ADHD, for those who might not have come across that word, it stands for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So it's a condition that affects people's behavior. And we shall see more about it as we continue. Looking at the autism spectrum disorder, its symptoms include disturbances of social interactions. So people with autism avoid eye contact. They often do not respond to their own names and usually appear unaware of others' feelings. Another symptom of the autism spectrum is communication problems. So some autistics barely speak. They speak with an abnormal tone or rhythm and repeat words or phrases without knowing what they mean. The other symptom of the autism spectrum is the stereotype behavior. This includes performing repetitive movements, for example, hand flapping or rocking. The other symptom of autism spectrum, which is so severe, is the gaze aversion. And it's a symptom no matter how mild or severe the disease is. And one of the consequences of the aversion is poor social intuition. So the reason for this is that so many of the social signals we send, for example, interest or boredom, surprise or pleasure, or trust, come from the area around the eyes. I think
Yeah, sorry, Alice. The slide is stuck again. Is this the slide you want me to?
Slide number 6.
Okay. This one?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're looking at the normal and abnormal, and as it applies to 3 dimensions of emotional styles, that is social intuition, outlook, and attention. So social intuition, as we said, is how one adapts or is skilled or proficient at picking up signals from people around them. So it plays a key role in autism. Then looking at outlook as one of the 6 dimensions of emotional styles, outlook is how long you are able to sustain positive emotion. So it affects the risk of depression. And attention is how sharp and clear your focus is. So attention accounts for ADHD. So as I said earlier, ADHD, for those who have not come across the word, it is the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And that is a condition that affects people's behavior. So looking at the autism spectrum, next slide. Looking at the autism spectrum, its symptoms, we have these disturbances in social interactions. So people with autism avoid eye contact. They often do not respond to their own names and usually appear unaware of others' feelings. Secondly, the second symptom is the communication problem. Some autistic barely speak. They speak with an abnormal tone or rhythm and repeat words or phrases without knowing what they mean. Another symptom of the autism spectrum is stereotype behaviors such as performing repetitive movements, for example, hand flapping and rocking. The next slide continues to talk about the symptoms of autism spectrum. We look at a severe symptom, which is the gazer version. And no matter how mild or severe the disease is, and one of the consequences of the version is poor social intuition. So the reason for this is that so many of the social signals we send, that is interest, boredom, surprise, or pleasure, or trust, come from the area around the eyes. I think most of you can agree with that. So the muscles around the eyes are important for social communication because they reflect actual emotion. It is no surprise that persons with autism have trouble interacting with others since they can't read other people's emotions or understand what their words or actions mean. So what does this suggest? This shows that if autistic persons could learn to look others in the eyes without feeling uncomfortable or anxious, a lot of their social emotional deficits would vanish. Do you agree with that? I was trying to ask the audience, do we agree with that?
So you want to ask again? Do we agree with what is it that you are asking?
So it's believed that the autistic persons do not show their emotions simply because they do not look at people directly in the eyes. And so we are told here that if only they could learn to look others in the eyes without feeling uncomfortable or anxious, a lot of their social emotions deficits would vanish. And that is what I was asking, that do we agree with that? If those people with the autism disorder would be comfortable with looking directly people in the eyes, then maybe some of their emotional deficits would vanish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, personally, I agree.
So I
Someone
also say that meanwhile, the non-autistic persons, those are the normal persons, would miss all manner of social and emotional cues and be as bewildered by the social environment around them if they spent a day shielding their eyes from the faces of their colleagues and companions. I don't know if you've experienced that. The same would apply to some of us like who are normal, who are not autistic. If you spend the whole day not looking at your colleagues or companions or the people around you, your family members, it would also affect your emotions and how you think, feel, and behave. That is what they're trying to tell us here.
Katria want to share something as well.
Katria, you're welcome. Hi, Katria, feel free to share.
Do you still want to share something, Katria?
No. I just like she said, yes. Like I agree with what you said.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And next we look at the brain classification of depression. So depression, most of us think that depression is a persuasive, unshakable presence of sadness and even despair. Whereas here we are told that depression is actually the inability to experience pleasure and other positive emotions such as satisfaction, joy, and pride. So when you're unable to experience those positive emotions, then you may be undergoing depression, as opposed to if someone tells you, oh, I'm sad, I'm in despair, or I'm feeling so down, we should not conclude that the person is depressed. But when the person instead tells you, I'm unable to feel that joy, that satisfaction, that pride, like whenever I'm given some news, that maybe you passed your exam, maybe you've gotten a scholarship, and the person tells you, oh, I'm unable to feel that joy. Oh, the person is unable and the person is just acting the way in a different manner, then you should be concerned that the person might be undergoing depression. So the next slide, we look at the subgroups of people with depression. So there are those who have difficulty recovering from adversity, in that once something bad happens, they are thrown off course for a long time. They have difficulty turning off negative emotions once they are turned on. And the second subgroup of people with depression are those who fall towards the tuned out end of sensitivity to context dimension. So these ones have difficulty regulating their emotions in a context appropriate way. For example, if they're around unfamiliar people, which is pretty normal, they may overgeneralize to familiar situations, and their wariness and shyness would persist. And the third subgroup are those who are completely unable to sustain any positive emotions, be it excitement or happiness or hope, in contrast to emotionally healthy people who get some good news in the morning. For example, a friend is giving them tickets to the sold out concert and likely fill up for several hours afterwards. These depressed people, patients, they show no such afterglow, even after being given such good news. And finally, we shall look at the attention style and ADHD. So ADHD, as we said, is a condition that affects people's behavior, and that is the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So according to the DSM, ADHD comes in 3 varieties: by inattention, where it causes you to fail to focus on details, and as a consequence, you make careless mistakes in schoolwork, work, or other activities. Inattention also causes you to have trouble organizing activities and makes you easily distracted. So by hyperactivity, impulsivity, hyperactivity is marked by fidgeting with your hands or feet, squirming in your seat, popping up when you're supposed to stay seated, and talking excessively. I'm talking excessively. And then impulsivity manifests itself as blurting out answers before questions have been finished, difficulty waiting for your turn, and interrupting or intruding on others, as by butting into conversations or games. And we come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. If you have not yet, please subscribe to www.hc.com. Healing Connection, support, educate, advocate, a supporting light for better mental health.
Does Joey, you have anything you'd like to share?
I really like the presentation. It's like, especially with learning about ADHD, it was a disability I was slightly familiar with, but I didn't really study it in detail. So it was a really good learning experience about the emotional state and learning about ADHD and the possible, and also the difference in the diagrams with the brain and depression versus a brain and non-depression. It was very helpful. So yeah, I really liked it a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Joey. And
Yes.
yeah, you want to share something?
No, just I say like it's a very important information, like for HDA, like she said some stuff that I didn't think about it. And it's good to to have this information, because we always get involved with children like that, or even adults. That's a good topic. Thank you.
Mhm. Do you work with the children who have ADHD or autism?
Yes, I did. I do.
I
I work
see.
with the kids in families. Like my program, it's like early on, and then like
Mhm.
I have kids with their family come into my program, and right now I have one mom with two kids diagnosticating with this disorder, and it's good to know how, the information that you just we had in this slide. It gave me an idea how they think, and it's helped me to go and look what I can do with these kids to help them in order to communicate with them, and in order to help the mom also, because she needs also help to help her kids, actually. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, wow, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, there are more and more kids who have ADHD, just have more of the attention deficit among the younger generation now.
Yeah,
So,
especially with
so that's true.
it didn't help well families because of the lockdown. It's make them we have more, I see it, we have more kids with and these disorders.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so
You
much for
no,
sharing what you know.
Thank you for sharing, Khadija.
you're welcome.
Does anyone else want to share anything? Is that the Marisa or Peter? Who cannot tell who's present. So we have for Healing Connection, we have new videos uploaded every day, almost every day, if not every day, every other day. We have inspirational and educational short stories that you can listen to. That's for a little bit of motivation, that if you want. So you can go to either our website or go to our YouTube channel. You can connect to the YouTube channel from our website, and hope you can just get some motivational piece from our short videos. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
everyone. Thank
you.
you. Good
Bye
job.
bye. Thank you.
Bye.